The Battle of Evesham, fought on August 4, 1265, was a pivotal moment in the Second Barons' War in England. This conflict saw Simon de Montfort, Earl of Leicester, leading a rebellion against the monarchy, specifically against King Henry III and his son, Prince Edward, later Edward I. The battle effectively ended de Montfort's leadership and marked the collapse of the rebellion. The Second Barons' War, 1264–1267, was a civil war between the forces of rebellious barons, led by Simon de Montfort, and the royalists under King Henry III. Tensions had grown over the king's weak and inconsistent rule, especially his dependence on foreign advisors and poor management of finances. In 1258, these grievances led to the provisions of Oxford, which sought to limit royal power and place the kingdom under baronial control. However, when Henry III renounced the provisions in 1261, it triggered the outbreak of war. Simon de Montfort, previously a close associate of the king, became the figurehead of the baronial cause. His victory at the Battle of Lewes in 1264 had captured both the king and his son, effectively making de Montfort the ruler of England for a time. However, de Montfort's government alienated some of his allies, and his rule faced increasing resistance. By 1265, de Montfort's position had become precarious. Prince Edward, who had escaped captivity in May 1265, began rallying royalist forces. His tactical brilliance became evident as he outmaneuvered de Montfort and his allies. Edward launched a surprise attack on Simon de Montfort the Younger, de Montfort's son, at Kenilworth Castle in July 1265, defeating him and cutting off the elder de Montfort from potential reinforcements. Simon de Montfort was now isolated, with a smaller army than Edward's royalist force. Realizing the hopelessness of his position, de Montfort attempted to retreat to safer ground, but Edward intercepted him near the town of Evesham in Worcestershire. De Montfort's army was heavily outnumbered, with around 5,000 men compared to the 10,000 in Edward's royalist force. Edward had carefully planned the battle, choosing to position his troops on high ground, giving them a strategic advantage. On the morning of August 4, as de Montfort's forces approached Evesham, they realized they were walking into a trap. Edward's forces, flying the captured banners of de Montfort's son to confuse the baronial troops, launched a ferocious assault. De Montfort, seeing that the battle was unwinnable, reportedly said, "God have mercy on our souls, for our bodies are theirs." The royalist forces overwhelmed de Montfort's army, encircling them in what became a massacre. De Montfort himself was killed in brutal fashion, his body mutilated after death. His eldest son, Henry de Montfort, also perished in the battle, as did many of de Montfort's most loyal followers. The slaughter was so intense that it is described as an execution rather than a conventional battle. The Battle of Evesham was a decisive royalist victory. Simon de Montfort's death marked the effective end of the rebellion. Although some resistance continued for a few more years, particularly at Kenilworth Castle, the royalists had regained control. Prince Edward's victory at Evesham cemented his reputation as a formidable military leader. He would later succeed his father as King Edward I in 1272 and implement significant reforms, centralizing royal authority and stabilizing the kingdom after years of internal strife. Despite his defeat, Simon de Montfort's legacy endured. His efforts to impose reforms, especially his summoning of the Parliament of 1265, are often regarded as early steps toward parliamentary democracy in England. De Montfort's call for representatives from towns and boroughs to participate in governance was a groundbreaking move, though it would take centuries for these ideas to fully develop into a representative political system. In conclusion, the Battle of Evesham was not just the climax of a civil war but also a key turning point in English history. It ended the Second Barons' War, restored royal authority, and indirectly contributed to the evolution of England's constitutional system.